What's up, guys? We got two different heads today. We got this head off of a Chevy LT1 6.2 liter engine, and we have this head over here, which is off of an older Honda B18 B1 motor. So there's two specific differences we want to talk about today as far as these heads go. Aside from the displacement and the amount of pistons they have, there are some big major differences that you'll see when you're working on some of the newer cars nowadays. This being a newer engine has what's called a direct injection system, and as you can see, this is the high pressure fuel rail. They run anywhere from 500 to 1,000 psi at idle and upwards of 2,500, sometimes $3,000 at the highest high pressure. So what that does is it pressurizes in this rail right here, forces through these injectors inside of the actual combustion chamber itself. And you can see over here where the other end of the injector is. So with these high pressure fuel injection systems, the fuel is actually overcoming the compression inside of the cylinder and spraying the fuel directly in right on top of the piston. Now there's lots of good and bad about this. The good is that you get a little bit better fuel economy even though you're running a lot more fuel and higher pressure. The fuel actually burns a little bit better. The one problem is though is now there's nothing going over the back side of the valves to help clean them off and prevent carbon building up on the back. Whereas in your traditional port injection systems, like on this Honda, and pretty much all Honda engines aside from the new ones will be like this, you can see this little spot right here. That's kind of where the injector sits in the intake manifold. So with the normal port style injection, they're running a low pressure fuel system around about 50 psi at all times. That sprays the fuel down inside over the back side of the valves and then into the combustion chamber. So the bad part about this is it's a little bit less power and the flame front isn't produced quite as good as it is with a high pressure system, but you're able to clean off the backside of the valves, and that fresh fuel is also able to keep the valves cooler at the same time. So two pretty big differences. Kind of why we wanted to bring this up is because we're actually featuring a BG product that helps clean both systems. Now with the port injection systems, there'll be a can that goes in your gas tank, helps clean inline your fuel system, goes through the injectors, comes out, cleans all that stuff out. And the good news is with the port injection systems is that cleaner running through the fuel system is actually going to clean any little bits of carbon that is built up on the valves. And even though these aren't bad about it, over time carbon will still build up inside the engine. So with that being said, that fuel system cleaner is going to clean off any little bits of carbon that is built up on the backside of the valves, as well as clean out the injectors, and it's also going to clean out the runners in the intake manifold as well as the head. Now with the GDI systems, the nice part about this fuel system cleaner is when you run this fuel system cleaner through here, you got the one that goes in the gas tank again. It's going to run through this high pressure fuel rail. It's going to clean out these injectors, clean out the tips a little bit. But what about the valves? Well, now that's where we have the second part of the cleaning system. We actually run through a vacuum line in the intake. Now since these engines, the newer engines with the direct injection system, have no way of applying fuel on the backside of the valves to help clean everything up, when we run our inline fuel system cleaner, we run it into a vacuum line in the intake. That cleaner then goes through, runs through the top of the valves over the back, and that's where we're able to clean off the carbon on the backside of the valves with these direct injection systems. And of course, all that is going to lead to a better running engine, better fuel economy, and overall keeping your vehicle safe and happy for you. Alright guys, so here's our two-part fuel system cleaner, and this is going to work for the port injection as well as the GDI or direct injection systems. This is going to be the can that goes in the fuel tank, preferably with a full tank of gas. That's going to go ahead and clean everything from the tank all the way forward through the injectors into the engine. This is the one that we're going to run through the intake system. This one is going to run through what's called a drip system. It's going to pull it in through a vacuum line, and that's going to coat all of the runners in the intake with this cleaner, and as well as on the backside of the valves. So kind of a double threat there, which is nice. So this kit will actually work for port as well as direct injection systems, and it does wonders for the car. Let me tell you, some of these direct injection systems, not to name any names, but some of the European cars had quite a bit of trouble with it, where there's so much carbon building up on the back of the valves they would actually start losing compression. You'd actually have misfires occurring normally at highway speeds under high load, and you'd have some hard starting concerns. So using these fuel system cleaners will definitely do wonders for your vehicle, and it's definitely a great recommendation, especially when you hit that 50,000 mile mark, that 100,000 mile mark. Normally you want to do spark plugs about 100,000 miles anyways, maybe a little earlier depending on the quality of the plugs. This is going to help prolong all of that as well as keep the fuel system clean for you going forward in the future. And we are offering a special right now, $200. Any vehicle, we'll go ahead and we'll clean out your fuel system for you. This one's going to be a long-lasting one, so it's kind of nice. So even after you leave, after we're done running the intake cleaner, this cleaner is going to be in the tank, and it's going to continue to clean until you finish that whole full tank of gas. So even as you're driving down the road with your car running a lot happier and better, you know that this chemical in your tank is going to keep cleaning as you go. And then when we see you there in a couple years, you come back and everything will be nice and clean, and we can go ahead and run the cleaner again once we get up to that next step in the mileage and everything. And yeah, you keep your vehicle on the road for a lot longer than you were planning on in the first place.